To get into the DIA, you have to pass rigorous security checks. And when I mean rigorous, I mean they're not playing. You have to go through a polygraph test, multiple interviews, background checks, even just to get into the building, pass a security check. The Defense Intelligence Agency is no stranger to keeping secrets. Who is Ana Montes and what did she do? In 1984, Montes held a clerical job at the Department of Justice in Washington. She spoke openly against the U.S. government's policies towards Central America, specifically Cuba. And soon her opinions caught the attention of Cuban officials, who were actually, these officials were not just random people, they were actually recruiters, spy recruiters, yes. Ana Montes was recruited by Cuban officials, or Cuban spy recruiters, if I should say, to become a fully embedded spy within an agency of the U.S. government. Now, before we even go any further, let me say this. I am not going to be sitting here and arguing with you guys about whether or not what she did was right or wrong, or if what she did was moral or just, okay? I'm just here to lay it all down for y'all and to tell you the story of Ana Montes. Now, guys, this is important because I saw like a lot of stuff on Reddit about people kind of praising her for what she did, and like people arguing about whether or not what she did was right or wrong, because like the United States spies on the Cuban government as well as many other nations all the time, and like it's just like a part of the game, I guess. But so I'm not gonna argue about that. That's like kind of why I said this. So feel free to discuss in the comments whether or not you think it was right or not for her to do what she did. But I will not be giving my opinions on whether I don't really know. Like, was it right? Was it wrong? I mean, she got Americans killed in Latin America. Like, her secrets, that the secrets that Ana exposed to the Cuban government led to the deaths and injuries of American spies that were operating in Cuba. So it's like, on the one hand, they're spies, right? So, but on the other hand, they're still Americans, right? So, and they're still people. So honestly, I'm not gonna sit here and debate with you guys on whether or not what she did was right or just or moral. But I will be telling you guys the facts of the case, because listen, it would just get too convoluted and like crazy. And I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. So I can't tell you. She applied to work at the DIA after previously applying to work at the CIA, but she wasn't able to get a job within the CIA, so she worked, these acronyms, bro. So she decided to work at the Defense Intelligence Agency. What the Defense Intelligence Agency does, their purpose is to gather intelligence on foreign militaries to prevent and decisively win wars. They've been in operation for over 60 years, and in those 60 years have prevented and won wars, essentially. I mean, they're a pretty big deal. They do their job, and they do it well. So like I said before, when you apply to work at the DIA, you have to pass like a rigorous background check and be able to pass a polygraph, which I know polygraphs, you know, not really the most reliable truth-telling method or whatever, right? But, you know, it's what we have, it's what they have. And Ana was able to pass through all of these security checks, all of these background checks, which I find really curious because, as I previously stated, she spoke openly against the United States government and sided with Cuba openly before she started working at the DIA. So I'm like, did you guys not hear about this? Did you not, like, know this? Because that seems like the kind of thing that would raise alarm bells, raise flags. But I guess they missed it. And so she applied to work at the DIA, and by the time she started work there in 1985, she was a fully recruited spy. The day she walked in, her first day in the DIA, she was already a fully recruited spy. How could they have missed this? How did they not know that there was a spy? Well, they knew that, let me say this. They knew that there was a spy in their midst. but they didn't know who it was. They didn't know who it was. So they were aware that somebody was leaking information to Cuba, but they weren't sure who this person was. They knew the DIA was aware that there was a spy in their building, but how do you find a spy? One of the people involved in this case said that finding a spy is like trying to find a ghost in the fog. So it is not an easy task. So let me stop crapping on them too bad, because like, how would I find a spy? They act just like us. They talk just like us. Man, I sound like a patriot, but like, guys, listen, I'm really just trying to like tell the story. They act just like you and me. They look just like you and me. Oh my gosh, where could that, like, how do you find them? How would you find a spy? And so they didn't know. But one thing that really kind of sealed the deal as to a really big reason as to why they were unable to discover that Ana Montes was the spy that they were looking for was, number one, she was damn good at her job, okay? She was a model employee. She got to work on time every day. She did her task purposefully and without fault, and she quickly rose the ranks in her office and became a trusted member of the team. She was really, really good at her job, and everybody that was around her and spent time with her said that she was very good at her job. Another thing that helped Montez's case was that she never actually removed any physical documents from the building. So, what I mean, when she was reporting back to her handler or whatever, the person that was supposed to take the information from her and then give it to the Cuban government, she never actually took physical documents out of the building or brought them in or anything like that. Instead, she would memorize the stuff that she saw during her time, like, at work, and then go home and type it out on her computer from memory. And that was another big thing that really sealed the deal as to why she was able to operate as a spy within the DIA for over 17 years. Yes, she was a spy, a fully recruited spy, from the moment she walked into the building to the moment she was arrested for over 17 years, leaking national secrets, top secrets, and getting Americans killed within Latin America. So the specific way that she would do this was she would memorize the details of what she saw at work, and then she would transfer that information onto encrypted disks, and after receiving instructions from the Cubans and from a shortwave radio that she kept in her closet, she would meet with her handler and turn over the disks, usually at restaurants. So during her years at the DIA, security officials actually did learn about her foreign policy views and were concerned about her access to sensitive information, but they had no reason to think that she was sharing top secret information because she passed the polygraph. Which I have no idea how she passed the polygraph because, like I said before, she was a fully recruited spy before she even stepped into the door. I mean, how did she even pass the polygraph? We don't know. There are ways to pass a polygraph, which I'm sure you guys are aware of, but like I said, it's not like they just did this polygraph and that was it. Like, there was background checks, rigorous interview processes, just constantly like security check after security check to figure out and to weed out any potential dangerous individuals from getting into top secret information. And she passed through all of them. And so even though they became aware of her views on the United States and like their foreign policies and the way that they treat foreign nations, smaller foreign nations to be specific, they just trusted in their process. They trusted that she was able to pass through all of these things, and they trusted that the polygraph didn't lie. But clearly, they were wrong. Another thing that really was interesting about this case was what motivated Ana to do what she did. So, not motivated by money or by greed or anything like that. She was actually motivated by ideology. So she genuinely believed that the United States was treating Cuba unfairly and unjustly and unneighborly, as she said in her court hearing, and that she believed what she was doing was right. What she was doing was helping Cuba defend itself from the big bad wolf, which is America. Because she wasn't motivated by money, one of the things that they look for when they're looking for spies is an abundance of wealth coming from out of nowhere. So one of the things that they actually look for is, like, if you're getting money from somewhere that you shouldn't be getting money from, how are you getting this money? But Anna never accepted any money from Cuban officials except for like a little bit here and there to reimburse her for expenses that she would pay out of pocket. But she never was actually paid for the work that she was doing for the Cuban government. She did it all because she genuinely and truly believed that the United States was wrong for the way that they were treating Cuba, or the way that they treat Cuba. And because of this, it was a lot harder to catch her, because it's not like she spoke openly about this while she was at the DIA, okay? She actually kept a pretty low profile at the DIA. Despite her outstanding work, she was a very private person. She kept to herself, and she kept her beliefs to herself, most importantly. And so there were no breadcrumbs, if you will, being left by her that would signal to officials that she was, in fact, the spy that they had been looking for. So how did she get caught? If she's so good at what she does, I mean, she's deadass memorizing the information that she learns at her job, and then going home, typing it out onto her computer, then putting it into an encrypted disk, and then meeting with her handler to give them these encrypted disks or whatever. How did she get caught? And not to mention, she was a model employee. She was perfect at her job. How did she get caught? It all started with a hunch. It all starts with a hunch. Scott Carmichael is a criminal investigator at the DIA, and he states that he loves being a spy hunter, specifically for unknown spies, where you know that espionage is occurring but have no idea who it is. The FBI had been trying to identify a Cuban spy that was suspected to be working in the DC area, and that Cuban spy was Ana Montes. So the first interview that she had, she admitted to nothing, and they had no real legal basis to follow up with. They had nothing on her. And so the security officer filed the interview away until 4 years later, when he learned that the FBI was working to uncover an unidentified Cuban agent operating in Washington. So it seems like these people just don't talk, because like, the FBI was looking for this Cuban spy that was working in the DC area. They're looking at Ana Montes, who's working in the DC area, who they suspect might be a spy for the Cuban government. But the two just aren't, like, clicking together, right? They aren't, like, aware of each other. And so they're unable to do anything about it for 4 whole years. And I'm guessing they're just not talking, because we're like, guys, we found her. What are you doing? But after those 4 years, he contacted the Bureau with his suspicions, and after carefully reviewing the facts, the FBI decided to open up an investigation. And through physical and electronic surveillance of covert searches, the FBI was able to build a case against Montes. Agents also wanted to identify her Cuban handler, and were waiting for a face-to-face meeting between the two of them, which they held off arresting her for some time, because they wanted to catch her handler as well. So this is all happening, like, in 2001. Wow, when they're aware that Ana is the spy that they were looking for. And something else really big happened in 2001, 9/11. As a result of the 9/11 attacks, Montes was about to be assigned to work-related U.S. war plans. So she was about to be given access to United States war plans. They know she's a spy now. We cannot get the spy United States war plans. We cannot give the spy war plans after the United States just suffered the worst terrorist attack in their history. So the FBI and the DIA clearly did not want that to happen, and only 10 days after 9/11, they arrested Anna. After she was arrested, she acknowledged revealing the identities of 4 American undercover intelligence officers. American spies. Let's be serious for a minute. Let's be honest with ourselves for a minute. Spies working in Cuba. She pled guilty in 2002 and was sentenced to only 25 years in prison, which is curious because they do not take espionage and conspiracy to commit espionage lightly in the United States. Oh no, like you could be sentenced to death for giving away national secrets, okay? But she got a plea deal. She got a plea deal and was able to get her sentence reduced to only 25 years, and she was set to be released in 2023, last year. Yes, Ana Montes was released from prison in 2023 after serving 20 years in prison, and she now lives in Puerto Rico, I want to say, with her family.